guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a quick story titled, Am I the A-hole for fighting to gain my handicap accessible house for my ex and her disabled daughter? And guys, this particular story is about a guy. He was married, and his wife, his stepdaughter, is disabled, and so he spent money to have like a handicap ramp and other things in the house. They get divorced, or at least they separate because, wait for it, she was cheating on him, and then she sued to try to take his house from him. Even though this house was a house that was handed to him from his father, and his father's father, grandfather, gave it to his father. So this is very important to him, this house, and you're going to see here, guys, that he fights hard and he actually gets the house, and now he's being made out to be the bad guy, the villain, because he is telling them to leave. Even though this was his house, and it was handed to him from his father and then from the grandfather, and she was the one that cheated on him, causing the demise of their marriage. Right? Bullshit. And we all know darn well that if the situation was reversed, and she fought the guy, he cheated on her, and she fought him to keep her house, nobody would have a problem with it. But now he's being made to be the bad guy because, wait for it, she has a disabled daughter. So I'm going to go through this, guys. I'm going to chime in with my opinions on this, and we'll go from there. So it starts off, he says, I'm a 32-year-old male, and I'm recently divorced with my ex, a 33-year-old female, due to our coffee preferences. And when he says coffee preferences, that's a euphemism for the fact that he found that she was putting, he didn't want to have any sausage, so to speak, in his coffee. She was cheating. Despite having a solid marriage contract about property and finances, the court outright ignored it and awarded my family home to my ex. In other words, it sounds like he had a prenup or something like that. He initially wanted to keep the house in his name because it was a family. It was important to him, father's house, grandfather's house, and all that. But it looks like that prenup didn't matter to that particular judge in that court. But he had to fight it. He says it's a 5-bedroom house, and I lived and maintained I had it modified for my then stepdaughter, who has a walking disability. Sure, I can afford to buy and build a house if so desired, but I got that house from my father, who got it from his father. My parents are not alive, and I'm an only child, so the household is sentimental value. You can't blame this guy at all. You know, a lot of people don't realize how important things like that are coming from your family until you get a lot older. You know, when my mom sold the house I grew up in a few years ago after my dad passed away because she moved into a small apartment because she didn't need the big house. My cousin ended up buying it from my mom, and I was really happy about that because it felt weird. This house that I grew up in, after like 30-some years, was going to go to strangers. So I was very happy that it stayed in the family. I mean, it's just little stuff like that matters as you get older, guys. But anyhow, he says, well, I lawyered up, fought in the Superior Court and won, and now my ex and her daughter have to leave because they cannot afford the legal fees, and I'm not willing to go into any settlement now that I know the kind of person I was up against. Translation, she showed her true colors in the initial divorce, so he's not going to go through any settlement. Not happening. I'm not falling for it twice. The problem is, my friends, extended family, and people who know about our family situation, they're calling me the bad guy for putting the daughter in a bad situation. Of course, he's being paid the bad guy. You can't tell me that the mother can't make arrangements to have a ramp or other things in their future house with the daughter? You saying that's not possible? She doesn't have a family? What about her father? What about the original baby daddy? Sounds like this guy she married to obviously help provide, which happens a lot for her daughter. He says, yes, our country does suck in making places accessible, and my house was one of the most comfortable places she could be at. I could give that house and make a new one or buy one, but because of the sentimental value attached to the house, I was unwilling. They doubled down that I offered no financial assistance to my spouse out of obligation for being a man. Main translation, the family and friends are saying, he should do that because it's, being a man. They're all giving moral arguments instead of legal ones, and I, for one, do not see myself at fault. The ex is uploading videos of her daughter on how a terrible place she lives in now that I stole the house. I feel conflicted. Am I the a-hole? No, dude, you're not, okay? Because You married her with a daughter, not to mention a disabled daughter, and you obviously didn't care at the time. Okay, you took that girl in, and you adjusted your house that was handed to you from family, and it held very important value to you. You obviously made it handicap accessible for the daughter because you loved and cared for this woman that was your now wife. And you obviously took care of and loved that stepdaughter like your own. But guess what? Your wife screwed it all up by having relations with some other dude. So the marriage ended. Sounds to me, what I put together is that she probably married this guy because he had resources and could provide. Meanwhile, she was out riding the carousel, chatting Tyrone, now that she had the house and the provider and all that. That's oftentimes how these unfortunate stories play out. And then in the divorce, even though he didn't screw it all up, she wanted to have the house. And this was his house. And even it sounds like he had a prenup. The judge didn't care. These are things you gotta be careful about, guys, if you decide to get married one day. And also for you guys that want to be the white knight and marry a woman that already has a child. Because sometimes, unfortunately, they could be looking for the white knight, the provider, who they wouldn't have given the time of day beforehand. Now they need it for obviously because they got kids and mouths to feed. I'm not saying they're all going to cheat. I'm not going to say they're all going to be bad wives or bad whatever. But some are, so you got to be careful. But anyhow, he had every right to do this, okay? And for his friends and family that are giving him a hard time and guilt-tripping all of them, I would pretty much say to freaking F off. Honestly, he's a grown-ass man. He's in his early 30s. He's got his own place. Obviously does well enough. It's not their business, okay? And if they have a problem with it, F off. I won't talk to you anymore. End of story. And to no surprise, like he said, she was putting videos and stuff like that on social media about their dire conditions. She can't have a job. She can't provide. How did she provide before she met this guy? Or if it's such a terrible thing, she shouldn't have cheated in the first place and screwed the marriage up. He didn't mess it up. So this was his house, handed to him. Absolutely right. You know, and I mean, at the end of the day, it isn't the daughter's fault. He doesn't explain how much the relationship he had with her. I'm sure he cared about her, you know, and one could argue, okay, maybe he can help out in terms of putting a wheelchair ramp or some kind of handicap thing in their place. I don't know what, that's up to him, but some people would, some people wouldn't, but no. In my opinion, he did the right thing. She forced his hand, and he had to do this. Now, I'm going to go through a few comments here to show that's not just me thinking this. One guy says, not the a-hole, it's your house. It belongs to your family. You did it up for your ex-stepdaughter, which was already an amazing thing that you did, but they're not a part of your family anymore, and you have no obligation to help. As heartless as people may find that statement to be, it's true. Anyone who calls you an a-hole is welcome to help pay to do up your ex's new house to make it more accessible for their daughter. Morally and legally, it's your house. Exactly. Again, this woman, doesn't she have family? How about they help out with that? How about the baby daddy help out with that? How about the friends and family that are lecturing this guy? How about they help with that? Again, are they aware that she screwed up the marriage? Are they aware of that? And notice he said that they were going on they were making moral arguments, not legal arguments. Another guy says, wait. Where do you live that folks just get to cheat and keep the previous property? Well, unfortunately, that's depending where you live here in the US of A and other countries that matter. It's no-fault divorce states or whatever. Yeah, that can happen. It's bullshit, but it can happen. Like what? I know some place that has some mad advertising they are losing on if that is the case. Not the a-hole. By the way, even with disabilities in the situation, she cheated and it was yours before the marriage. This really shouldn't be up for moral question, but really, I know some terrible people who would love that outcome. Another guy says, you guys were only married for a few years, not the a-hole. They had no reasonable expectation to keep the house when it's been in your family for generations and you guys were together for a short period of time. I would suggest that maybe you could provide some money that can go directly to building ramps and such for the daughter in the place they're in now. You don't have to outfit the whole place, but maybe make some modifications. Okay, some people may say, okay, that's a fair compromise. Other people may say, hey, the hell with her, who knows? But at the end of the day, it is the mother that is the real jerk here. I think we can all agree there, and certainly has it coming in terms of she ain't getting the house. The kid may be a sweet kid, you know, so maybe he might do that. I don't know. I'm not a parent. I don't know what it's like to have a connection with a child, so who the hell knows? But bottom line is this, is that, in my opinion, he's not the a-hole. He deserved to get this house, and thank God for that he fought for this, because, I mean, that's terrible. In the family for generations, and he would lose it to some bimbo he was married to for a few years, and she was cheating on him. I mean, that is just wrong. And so it's actually nice that he got this, to see that there is some level of justice in the world, in my opinion. Some people would not find this to be justice. I do. But then again, I got people that hate me, so go figure. But anyhow, guys, it's a quick one, but I thought it'd be a good one to go over, just because many of you guys have gone through divorces and been raked through the coals. Many of you guys are going to get married one day, regardless of what you learn from here, and statistically will get raked through the coals. But at least you can see this as an example, something to learn from, to pay attention to. Even though the guy sounded like he had a prenup, initially with the original judge in court, didn't matter. He had to press forward, and he eventually got it. So anyhow, interesting story. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.